Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. That is the most important thing right now. I'm continuing with the fifth installment of our rabbinic stories. And just to remind you where we last visited with our rabbis, there was this crazy story of Rabbi Eliezer basically calling upon all sorts of miracles to convince his colleagues in the Beit Midrash that he was right and they were wrong. First he had a tree move, then he had a water reverse direction, he had the walls of the Beit Midrash start falling, and then even God's self called out, said he was right, Rabbi Eliezer was right, and still the rabbis stuck to their rule of the majority determines halacha, and God gave the Torah to us, and now it's up to us to decide. And unfortunately, then they went a step further and they shamed Rabbi Eliezer. We've seen some shame also happening earlier in our series of stories. And they basically excluded him. They excommunicated him from the Beit Midrash, and we're going to see what happens next. Their actions do not go unresponded to by God. So we're picking up the story right here. Berchu, I talked about how that looks like it should be from the word bracha, but it means in this case they chased him out or they excommunicated him. So they voted on him. They voted him out of the Beit Midrash. The rabbis did to Rabbi Eliezer because of his renegade behavior, even though God was on his side. V'amru, and they said, who's going to go tell him? Amar lehem Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says, Ani elech, I'll go. Shema yelech adam she'eno hagun v'yodio. Just in case somebody who doesn't behave properly, who does it in an improper way, goes to inform him. And by the way, it's interesting to see Rabbi Akiva's role here, which we also saw earlier when Rabban Gamliel was deposed and replaced by Elazar ben Azariah, and then the process of reinstating Gamliel almost completely, and then essentially demoting Elazar ben Azariah to a supporting role after he had been the head of the Beit Midrash. Rabbi Akiva was involved there as well in communicating that to Elazar ben Azariah. So he says he's going to go. V'nimsa machrivet kol ha'olam kulo. And because he says, sorry, I didn't finish the sentence from Rabbi Akiva, because somebody else will go and tell Rabbi Eliezer, he, Rabbi Eliezer, would then destroy the world. So it's also interesting how we see these deposed or humiliated rabbis still believed to have incredible power, like how much the rabbis still were concerned about Rabban Gamliel, even after he behaved the way he did and then was deposed. And now we see here also that Eliezer, who, he showed he has God on his side. And so here too, Rabbi Akiva is saying, God's still going to be on his side. We need to be careful how he reacts. Ma'asa Rabbi Akiva, what did Rabbi Akiva do? Lavash shchorim, he dressed in black. V'nidatev shchorim, he wrapped himself in black. Ve'ashav afanav berichuk arba amot, he sat 4 amot, a distance from Rabbi Eliezer. He said to Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Eliezer said to him, Akiva, ma yom mi yomayim. What's going on? What's been going on the last couple of days? Amar lo. And so we see Rabbi Eliezer, even though he didn't know yet that he was voted out of the academy, he also hasn't been there lately. Amar lo, Rabbi Akiva responded, Rabbi, my teacher, kim dumeli keshechavrim b'delim mimcha. It seems your friends have separated themselves from you. B'delim, from the word havdalah. Afhu karab gadav chalatz min alav. He tore his clothes. He took off his shoes. V'nishmat v'yashav al gabei karka. A lot of these actions are reminiscent of avelut, of mourning, tearing his clothes, taking off his shoes, sitting on the floor like a mourner. Okay, it's basically a death sentence. Zalgo einav demaot. Tears started falling down. Lakah ha'olam. So what happens from Rabbi Eliezer's tears? So Rabbi Akiva avoided, it seems, Rabbi Eliezer lashing out and causing more miracles to wreak havoc, to cause destruction in the world. However, what happens with Rabbi Eliezer's tears is Laka ha'olam shlish b'zeitim. A third of the world's olives were smitten, were destroyed. Shlish bachitim, a third of the of the world's wheat, ushlish seorim. And so you have basically incredible destruction from Rabbi Eliezer's tears. And so what we're seeing here is, though, again, even though the rabbis have the power and the majority rules, still Rabbi Eliezer still can still has God on his side. And we're going to see how the story continues from here. There are those who say that another thing happened that day, that all the dough that women were holding went bad. Tana, it was taught, and even more, everywhere Rabbi Eliezer looked, and we're going to see this in a later story that I will also share with you, everywhere he looked, his eyes caused burning, fire. Okay? Rabban Gamliel happened to be in a boat at that point. Amar alav nachshol letabo, and a big wave came to drown him. Amar, he said, Kim Dumeh, it seems to me, Kim Dumeh li, she'ein ze ela bishvil Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkanus. This is because of what happened to Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkanus. So Rabban Gamliel is not quoted in that story, but the way Rabbi Eliezer is treated is unfortunately reminiscent of the culture Rabban Gamliel had fostered, and actually the way he treated Rabbi Yeshua. And now we see Rabban Gamliel, in this case, it still seems to be his academy, and maybe under his influence, this is the way they treated Rabbi Eliezer, but I don't want to blame Rabban Gamliel here because he wasn't there in the story. So what I might say here is actually to Rabban Gamliel's credit, even though this was the culture under his leadership, he takes responsibility. Amar al-Ragla ve'amar, Ribono shel Olam, this wasn't done, so he himself was involved in making the decision. Then he takes, even though he doesn't appear in the story, he owns the decision. And I didn't do it for my own honor, and I didn't do it for my father's honor. And we've talked about Rabban Gamliel's ancestry, his legacy, the legacy of his family, and actually how in the end Rabbi Yeshua forgave Rabban Gamliel, not for Rabban Gamliel's sake, but for his father's sake. So Rabban Gamliel is saying, I didn't do this for my honor or my family's honor, for your honor, God, in order to limit arguments in the people. And so this seems a valid point, right? If you have a system where one person can stand up against everybody and overturn the rules of the Beit Midrash and use miracles or claim to be able to use miracles, then what would happen to our society? It would be chaos, according to Rabban Gamliel. Na hayam bizapo. So the water receded and the waves stopped attacking Rabban Gamliel's boat. And now we see, I would say this is an epilogue to the story. Up to now, I mean, look, all of this is part of the story. I think ultimately these are the most important parts of the story, actually, because they're saying that it's really about how all of this story arguably is more about the treatment of one person of another, less so than it is of the details of the halacha. But now this takes a more personal, tragic turn. Ima Shalom, debetu de Rabbi Eliezer, achte de Rabban Gamliel. So Ima Shalom was Rabbi Eliezer's wife and Rabban Gamliel's sister. And even just look at her name, Ima Shalom. Okay, so here at the end, we're going to try and find some peace, Ima Shalom, but we will see what happens. Mehahu Maaseh ve'elach. So from the time of this episode, when Rabbi Eliezer was excommunicated and everybody was fearful of how he felt and what he might do, what God might do on Rabbi Eliezer's behalf, Lohava shvaka le Rabbi Eliezer lemei palal ape. And she didn't let her husband daven tachnun. That's mei palal ape. Davening tachnun is a tefillah seeking forgiveness, or seeking God's rachamim, compassion. And so in seeking God's compassion, she was concerned that God might then at that point get revenge on Rabban Gamliel out of compassion for Rabbi Eliezer. Ahu Yoma, on that day, Reish Yarcha Hava, there was a day when it was a new moon. She got confused about how long the month was, whether the month was 29 or 30 days, because if the previous month was 29 days, then it wouldn't be the 30th day of the month, it would be Rosh Chodesh. If it was a 30-day month, then it wouldn't be Rosh Chodesh. And Tachnun, this prayer that seeks forgiveness and God's compassion, is not said on Rosh Chodesh. So she got confused. She didn't realize it was a day when Tachnun was said. She thought it was a day when there would be no Tachnun. Ika de Amri, there are those who say, Ata Anya Vikaya Baba. Okay, so here's the thing. So one notion is that she basically didn't think that he was saying Tachnun, so she didn't have to stand by his side and make sure he didn't say it. Another opinion says somebody poor came to the door and she gave tzedakah. And what happens next makes that story particularly stunning and tragic. When she saw that her husband was saying Tachnun, Rabbi Eliezer was saying Tachnun, Amar la kum ketalit le'achi. Please get up. You're going to kill my brother. God's compassion will lead God to seek revenge on Rabban Gamliel, which will be who is my brother, and that will be his death. At that moment, news came from the house of Rabban Gamliel that in fact Rabban Gamliel had died. And imagine Ima Shalom's position here, caught between her husband and her brother. Amar la, he said to her, Menaya dat, how did you know? Rabbi Eliezer, basically her husband, is saying, how did you know that if I said Tachnun, that would cause Rabban Gamliel's death? Amar le, she said to him, Kach mekublani mi beit avi abba. This is what the tradition I received from my father's father, from the house of my father. Kol hasharim ninalin chutz mishare onah. All the gates are locked, chutz mishare onah. And so here we see ultimately the point of this whole of the story with Rabbi Eliezer is ona'at devarim, causing suffering or oppressing with words. Basically, the whole notion that in this case, what happened was that, yes, there was a halachic disagreement. There was Rabbi Eliezer trying to bring down the system, the rabbi standing their ground, the rabbi saying they couldn't hear directly from God anymore because they had the Torah and it's their responsibility to interpret it and apply it. That all was well and good. But where things went bad was when they then went overboard. They then basically treated Rabbi Eliezer the way they did. And in the end, this caused not the disagreements. Rabban Gamliel was able to protect himself when he said that what he did was defending God's honor with the system of Chazal, keeping the Jewish people together. But what belied that and what basically caused God in the end to get revenge or to defend Rabbi Eliezer's honor even more was that the ona'at devarim, the oppressive, hurtful words that and actions, right? It wasn't just words. It was also the way they treated Rabbi Eliezer that caused Rabban Gamliel's death. And so this is the end of this 5-part story that I wanted to share with you. And it's not all easy and it's not all pretty, but it is definitely, like I said, it includes some really fascinating aspects of rabbinic culture. And ultimately, I think ends, although with a tragic conclusion, ends with a very compelling point about how, yes, the rabbis mixed it up and they didn't always treat each other well, to be sure. In the end, what the Talmud is coming to tell us here, what it is teaching us, is that the way they treated each other was of utmost importance, and it was sometimes lost on them in the process. But that really, the process was a holy one, as shown by the story of the Tanur Shel Achnai, the snake oven, and it was also one that absolutely required of the rabbis that they treat each other well, no matter what their disagreements were. So thank you all for listening all the way to the end of this sequence of stories. I'm going to pick up again soon with more stories And I look forward to sharing them with you. Have a great day. And again, I hope everybody is able to stay healthy and well.